right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and the prejudging for the 2025 Detroit Pro just wrapped up, and it was a really interesting show. And I want to say again, the number one thing that I really appreciate about this show is the same thing that I liked last year: a plain black backdrop with good lighting. And you can see in this video that makes a significant difference to how the physiques are presented, especially on a live stream. So again, I want to take my hat off to Fouad for that, because he's the one that implemented that. And the reason he did it is because he calls the Detroit Pro the people's show, and that's what the people have been saying they want. And this has kind of become my motto at this point. So if we're going to criticize shows that have terrible lighting, shows that have terrible backdrops, on the flip side of that coin, we also have to recognize shows that are doing, I think, the right thing. And make no mistake, I'm sure that Fouad is actually losing money making that choice, but he does it because that's what the fans want. So shout out to Fouad. Now, for men's open bodybuilding, as far as the top four goes, in that top four call out, you've got Ron Gordon, you've got James Hollingshead, and in the center, you've got William Bonac and Sauce Harati. Boy, am I glad that when I saw that update from Sauce Harati yesterday, that most muscular, I'm glad I made that video, and I'm glad I put that in there and said that I think he's a dark horse to be a top guy here. Because watching this, I think there's actually a chance that Sauce wins this whole thing. I initially thought that it was going to be between James and Bonac, but James looked off here to me, and I think there's genuinely something going on with his midsection. I said that at the Arnold. There's something with that midsection that just, you're not seeing the abs clearly. He was just a little too soft here. It didn't let me rewind the live stream, so I can't look back and see. And I'm looking at some of the posts on Instagram. I'm not seeing anybody post anything of Carlos, but that's another thing that I should shout out Fouad for. The stream was free, and it was on his YouTube channel, which is another cool thing that he did. But look, I mean, genuinely, I think it's close between Bonac and Sauce Harati. I think that Sauce brought really good condition here. You could make the argument that from a conditioning standpoint, he edges out William Bonac. But then you look at Bonac, and this is a really good version of William, a really good version of William. And I look at the last time, I looked back at pictures of the last time Bonac and Sauce competed in the same show. That was this past summer's M-Pro Classic in Spain. And Sauce was in really good shape there too. Bonac looked pretty comparable to this, but Bonac might look even better here. And Bonac beat Sauce at that show. In fact, Sauce was fourth. But actually, I think Sauce does look better here than he looked at the Spain show. But this is also a pretty good version of Bonac, and that's the thing. You got to look at Bonac's track record, the guys that he normally beats. I mean, it's not that he's off here. I think this is a really good Bonac. It's that Sauce is so, like, he's just so sharp. I don't know, man. This is a close call. I think that Bonac is probably a little bit more complete from a standpoint of being more filled out, like more dense. I think especially Bonac in the back shots, very, very just complete in those shots. Very filled out, like as much muscle on his frame as possible type of thing. I don't know. My gut tells me that Bonac is going to win this thing, but I think it's going to be actually a pretty narrow victory. I thought Bonac was going to come in here and this was going to be his show all day. He's definitely being pushed here. That's for sure. And I'm curious also, man, what happened with Carlos Thomas Jr. So I think I would probably go Bonac winning, but just barely. And then I would go Sauce in second, very close to Bonac. And then I would go James in third, but a pretty good gap between second and third. Like a pretty decisive. Sauce looks a lot better than James here. And that's the other thing too, is like when I talk about Bonac being a seasoned pro, he could probably, and he probably will, come back tighter at finals. And that is probably going to be what edges him out the victory. Granted, this is a one-day show, so it won't be as significant of a difference as the Arnold, for example, but he came back a lot tighter at the Arnold for the finals. And I think he actually ended up moving a couple places up at the finals of the Arnold. I think he moved up like 2 spots. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you guys have winning in men's open bodybuilding? Let's go over to Classic Physique here next. Wesley Vissers versus Matt Grego. The rematch. Matt Grego placed ahead of Wesley at the Arnold Classic just a month ago. Now, this also seems to be a close one. And this one seems to be pretty split. I was seeing a lot of comments for either guy. A lot of people think Wesley is taking this. A lot of people think Matt is taking it. I will say this. I think that Wesley looks better here than he looked at the Arnold. He looks tighter. And I don't know if that's just because the lighting here is so good. The backdrop is so good. But to me, this looks like a better version of Wesley. And I think that his conditioning looks better than the Arnold. And his legs look better than the Arnold. To me, they look fuller. And the conditioning is more visible, like the splits, the glute hamstring tie-in, those kind of finer details on the quads. To me, this looks better than the package that he brought to the Arnold. But the question is, will it be enough to leapfrog Matt Grego, who was 2 places ahead of him? Wesley was 5th and Matt was 3rd. Matt has really impressed me, man. His physique has come a long way in the last 2 years. And I think if we're being honest, like if you look at overall flow in poses like the front double bicep, for example, poses where you can really see Wesley's taper, Matt actually does have a better taper and a better flow than Wesley. Wesley kind of has, he's still got a taper, but his waist is kind of rectangular. Like, I don't want to say blocky, but like his hips are wide. And it's not the best taper in the world. When you really look at him next to a guy like Matt, it's just, you can kind of see those little weak points in Wesley's physique where he might not be the most aesthetically pleasing, flowing physique. And there's guys that are just better than him, at least in that regard. Now, like I said, lower body-wise, I think he improved, and I don't think there's as much disparity between Wesley's legs and Matt's legs as there was at the Arnold. This one, though, I also feel is really close. I think it's definitely closer than the Arnold. I'm going to go, I think it's going to be Matt. Like I said, I think Wesley looks improved, but I still don't think we're back to 2024 Arnold, Ohio, Wesley. I'm still not seeing that in this physique. It's better than 2025 Arnold Classic Wesley, but I don't think it's enough here. I think Matt did enough to win again. Well, he didn't win the Arnold, but he did enough to beat Wesley again, I think. But it's certainly closer between the two of them here than it was at the Arnold, that's for sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why Wesley was kind of hesitant to do this show, because back-to-back losses, the Arnold and then, kind of a random show after the Arnold, is not good for his momentum, and it looks like that might happen. Even though, like I said, I do think he looks a lot better. And maybe Wesley needed more time to bring a better peak, a better package, like with significant changes, than just, less than a month between the Arnold and this. And maybe he picks another show where he's got some time to do some work. So I'm going to go Grego and Bonac on this one. Let's see if I'm right or let's see if I'm wrong. We'll find out in a couple hours. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are your picks? Let me know down below. Do you have Wesley winning? Do you have Matt? Do you have Bonac winning? Do you have Sauce? Do you maybe have James winning? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.
All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.